The reason why our best ideas come to us in the shower. Narrator. If you want more insights on creativity and productivity, make sure to subscribe and never miss a spark of inspiration. You're in the shower, mindlessly scrubbing your toes when, bam, a prophetic thought pops into your head. Maybe you finally solved that glitch bugging you at work. Or maybe you learned something more important. The meaning of life, perhaps. Or what the 23 flavors in Dr. Pepper are. Those aha moments aren't locked inside a bottle of Irish-scented shampoo. Soaking yourself in suds, though, does have a lot to do with it. The shower creates the perfect conditions for a creative flash, coaxing out your inner genius. Oh, and it makes you clean too. Mind your mindless tasks. Research shows you're more likely to have a creative epiphany when you're doing something monotonous, like fishing, exercising, or showering. Since these routines don't require much thought, you flip to autopilot. This frees up your unconscious to work on something else. Your mind goes wandering, leaving your brain to quietly play a no-holds-barred game of free association. This kind of daydreaming relaxes the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center for decisions, goals, and behavior. It also switches on the rest of your brain's default mode network, clearing the pathways that connect different regions of your noggin. With your cortex loosened up and your default mode network switched on, you can make new, creative connections that your conscious mind would have dismissed. That's why the ideas you have in the shower are so different from the ideas you have at work. You're a pinch more close-minded at the office. Thinking hard about a problem actually deactivates your default network. It boosts your prefrontal cortex's control. Now this isn't a bad thing. It really tightens your focus and gives you the power to stop gawking at cat pictures and, actually hit that deadline. But it can also dig you into a creative rut. Because when you're deeply focused on a task, your brain is more likely to censor unconventional and creative solutions. Strange as it sounds, your brain is not most active when you're focused on a task. Rather, research shows it's more active when you just let go of the leash and allow it to wander. Shelley Carson at Harvard found that highly creative people share one amazing trait. They're easily distracted. And that's the beauty of a warm shower. It distracts you. It makes you defocus. It lets your brain roam. It activates your DMN and encourages wacky ideas to bounce around. So when the lather rinses off, your light bulb switches on. And relax, but what makes the shower different from a boring board meeting? Doesn't your mind wander there too? Well, yeah, you probably have the doodles to prove it. But a shower is relaxing. It's a small, safe, enclosed space. You feel comfortable there. Comfortable enough to be in the buff. On top of that, you're probably alone. It may be the only alone time you get all day. It's your chance to get away from any stresses outside. But a shower is relaxing. It's a small, safe, enclosed space. You feel comfortable there. Comfortable enough to be in the buff. On top of that, you're probably alone. It may be the only alone time you get all day. It's your chance to get away from any stresses outside. When you're that relaxed, your brain may release everyone's favorite happy-go-lucky neurotransmitter, dopamine. A flush of dopamine can boost your creative juices. More alpha waves will also ripple through your brain, the same waves that appear when you're meditating or happily spacing out. Alphas accompany your brain's daydreamy default setting and may encourage the creative fireworks. Timing is everything. Wait, there's more. The time you shower also plays into the equation. Most of us wash up either in the morning or at night, when we're most tired. According to the journal Thinking and Reasoning, that's our creative peak. The groggy morning fog weakens your brain's sensors, keeping you from blocking the irrelevant, distracting thoughts that make great ideas possible. It's likely that your shower gushes during your creative sweet spot. There you have it. You're distracted, relaxed, and tired. Your prefrontal cortex slackens its power as your default network switches on, your dopamine supplies surge, and your alpha waves roll. The shower creates the perfect storm for the perfect idea. On July 26, 2024, billions of people from around the world will tune in to watch the opening ceremony of the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris, France. While it's sure to have a different tone from the most recent Summer Games in Tokyo, Rio de Janeiro, and London, one thing that will remain constant is the traditional lighting of the Olympic cauldron. If you love Olympic stories and want to follow every moment, make sure to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes journeys and unforgettable moments from Paris 2024. The Olympic torch is reignited months before each new cycle of the Games in a ceremony in Olympia, Greece. An actress playing an ancient priestess uses a parabolic mirror and the sun's rays to set the torch relay in motion. If it's cloudy on the day of the ceremony, they light the torch from a second torch that was lit in the parabolic mirror on a sunny rehearsal day. Once the flame is re-established, it's up to thousands of torchbearers to ensure it makes it to its final destination safely. This year, after leaving Greece on a three-masted sailing ship and arriving in Marseille, The flame was carried by 10,000 torchbearers through 450 French towns on its way to Paris. The path from Greece to the Games can even take the torch underwater, as it did at the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia, when a special underwater flare was employed to send the flame over the Great Barrier Reef. The intention is for the flame to stay continuously lit throughout its entire journey, but there's almost always difficulty at some point along the route. One journalist reported that the flame was extinguished at least 44 times on its way to the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, and the Rio relay for the 2016 Summer Games saw its fair share of mishaps as well. On June 20, 2016, a Jaguar that was part of the relay was shot and killed after it escaped from its handlers and reportedly lunged at a soldier. Several days later, a Brazilian man attempted to douse the torch as it passed through his town. Just days before the ceremony, protesters actually shut down the torch procession in Angra dos Reis, Brazil, stealing it from the torchbearer and extinguishing the flame. Sometimes it's Mother Nature who extinguishes the torch. In 2013, it had to pass through what amounted to a wind tunnel at the Kremlin, where it fell victim to a particularly persistent gust. It was quickly relit by a security agent's Zippo. That's a no-no, by the way. There's protocol for relighting the flame, and it involves a backup torch also lit from the original source in Athens, not a random lighter. At the end of its journey, a torchbearer enters the opening ceremony venue and uses the flame to light the Olympic cauldron, which remains lit for the entire Games. It can be one of the most spectacular moments of the Games, like when Spanish Paralympic archer Antonio Rebollo Linen shot a flaming arrow through the night sky to light the cauldron at the 1992 Summer Games in Barcelona. When the flame does go out for good, it will be intentional. The snuffing ceremony on the final day of the 2024 Summer Games will put the flame to rest until the relay for the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy, begins. So what does FUBAR actually mean? Narrator. If you're curious about more wild military slang, make sure to subscribe and join us for more fascinating stories. Netflix recently released Season 2 of FUBAR, in which Arnold Schwarzenegger and Monica Barbaro play a couple of CIA operatives who also happen to be father and daughter. The two navigate personal relationships and high-stakes missions simultaneously. Not exactly a how-to for achieving work-life balance, you know? The series takes its title from a military acronym dating back to World War II. Here's what FUBAR stands for, how it's been used over the decades, and, well, a bit more. So, what does FUBAR stand for? Well, FUBAR stands for fouled up beyond all recognition, where honestly a stronger F-word is sometimes swapped in for fouled. It's an adjective that World War II soldiers came up with to mean thoroughly confused, disordered, damaged, or ruined, at least according to Merriam-Webster. And, you know, just like scuba, radar, and other acronyms that eventually became part of everyday language, FUBAR is now often just written in lowercase. FUBAR hits print in its earliest known citation from a January 1944 issue of Yank, the Army Weekly, which was a U.S. military magazine published during World War II. The article features diary excerpts by Corporal Larry McManus about the Battle of Macon, a clash between Allied and Japanese forces at Macon, an atoll in the Gilbert Islands, back in November 1943. Among the American troops was this so-called FUBAR squadron, which kept helping out different branches of the military without being officially claimed by any of them. McManus described one of the FUBARs, Sergeant J.C. Hart, as wearing a khaki Army garrison cap, navy blue dungaree pants, and a green twill jacket bearing the letters USMC. Hart told McManus, "We were with the Army Air Forces when we went to Virginia a couple of months ago for training in air-ground liaison. Then we went to San Diego and were attached to the Navy for duty. We went broke in a hurry. The Navy wouldn't pay us, said we belonged to the Army. The Army claimed we were sailors. Eventually the FUBARs made their way to Alaska with the Marines and then got sent to Macon for air-ground liaison. One FUBAR lieutenant joked that they were probably all listed as AWOL. He said, maybe our records will catch up with us someday. It's honestly not clear whether FUBAR was coined specifically for this squadron and then spread as broader military slang. The FUBARs definitely got around enough for that to be possible. But it's also possible that the term was already out there and just seemed especially fitting for such a mixed-up group. After all, FUBAR was far from the only term of its kind. There were in fact more military screw-up acronyms. World War II was really a golden age for these, as Paul Dixon described in his book War Slang, American Fighting Words and Phrases Since the Civil War. It also gave us the most classic one snafu, which stands for situation normal, all fouled up. The term kind of captures the common soldier's laconic acceptance of the disorder of war and the ineptitude of their superiors, according to the Oxford English Dictionary. In an article for Medium, Jack Shepard took a look at a bunch of lesser-known military screw-up acronyms from Dixon's book. And just so you know, every foul in these acronyms can be replaced with, you guessed it, the F word. But you know, foobar isn't just an adjective. You can actually use it as a verb too, meaning to make a mistake. According to Green's Dictionary of Slang, other definitions include things like extremely unhappy, very unattractive, very drunk, out of luck, and exhausted. 20th century college students deserve a lot of the credit for expanding the term's usage beyond just military-coded disorder and damage. In the very drunk sense, it's even been shortened to foob, so basically foobar has become a kind of multi-purpose synonym for F up.